First a plushie, then a game, and now a book about the plushie from the game. Hi everybody, I'm Ethan. I've made this unreleased plushie character, and now I'm on the verge of releasing a game. And I'm working on a children's book based on the characters from that game. Today, I just want to share the revised first draft of the story behind the characters in Moving Maze. I'm going to read this rough draft to you, and boy, oh boy, is it a rough draft. The original story was a little different. I sent it to an editor, and they ripped me a new one. After a little while, I did a rewrite of the story. The original version was close to 3,000 words. This one is around 800. That was one of the edits to shorten it. It's meant to be a children's book, which is why it's so short. I wrote this version in a burst of inspiration, and I haven't done many edits yet, so bear with me as I read through it. I'll also show some draft illustrations I made for the earlier, longer version, so you can get a sense of where the illustrations will be going. So, here it is. I'm calling it The Epic of Caroline, but we'll see where that title goes. That's what the original one was called, at least. Here we go. Caroline the cow liked laying about. She'd sit in her lawn all day long doing whatever she'd want. Now Caroline had some hay, her last bit she had saved, since winter was over, but spring hadn't been for much longer than a day. She had rationed her hay, which she dismayed, because she couldn't eat all the hay that she wanted. One day in March, after a day of not doing too much, she sat and leaned against her tree in her lawn. She fell asleep, having a great dream, thinking about her hay that she'd eat. But lurking around the corner, with eyes so wide, watching Caroline, was the Hay Troll trio. They looked at one another. Stumple was grumpy, and Bumple had a look of uncertainty, while Frumple grinned. They were out of hay, but knew just where and when to get some that day. They went into her house, stole the hay Caroline had been keeping safe and sound. They left very pleased, quietly sneaking past Caroline, who was still asleep. They went back to their field, over the mound. When Caroline woke, excited after dreaming about eating the hay she had in her house, she ran inside, eagerly thinking about eating. She yanked open the fridge. It was gone. Caroline stood in silence. She was numb. Disbelief started to come. Then she was sad, and finally she was mad. Mad, mad, mad. She knew just whom had taken her hay she had saved. The Hay Troll trio had taken her hay. They had probably eaten all of theirs, and they just couldn't wait. So they came as they did. They stole the hay right from her fridge. Caroline liked to lay about. She didn't want to climb the mound. But she was hungry, of course, so she had to go. She went out the door, across her lawn, and through the field. She went right up to the mound, then sat down. She didn't want to spend her day this way, but in time she grew hungrier and hungrier and couldn't protest against her starving stomach any longer. So she rose to her feet, started to take the first steps, and she eventually reached the top of that mound. Once she did, she turned around to see how far she had come. She looked down the other side of the mound, saw the Hay Troll trio sitting at the end of their meadow, with fences set up in an odd kind of pattern. She slid down the hill. Once she reached the bottom, the trolls giggled, hopped, and ate the hay as they jocked. Caroline got mad. She began moving in their direction. After 2 steps, the meadow went into motion. The earth beneath her feet rose up, with Caroline on top. It spun around, spinning Caroline all about. After it spun, it fell down with a thud. She moved once more, not knowing if that would happen anymore, and it did. She was spun once again. And as she moved, she realized this was a maze that moved and spun, making it very hard to get her hay from those hay-taking trolls. As she moved, she was spun. She was trying different paths, different ways, but the harder she tried to go to the hay, the further she was spun away. She did this for a while, then stopped. She sat with tears in her eyes. She didn't want to move today. She just wanted to lie down. So she gave up and turned around. Those trolls won. She was backing down. As she was leaving, she looked back at the hay that had been why she had come all that way. Just as she was moving off that moving maze, it spun her away from leaving. It spun her away from leaving. She just wanted to leave. It couldn't even let that be. Caroline perked up. She realized she didn't have to try to go after her hay. She had to try leaving. Then it would bring her the other way. The more she stopped trying, the more she began realizing that to get her way, she had to watch and see how the maze was rotating. This was the way. Working with, not against the moving maze. The moving maze spun her almost all the way to her hay. The trio's eyes were twice the size. They were surprised. Caroline was close to the finish. She saw the trolls had almost finished all her hay anyway. And before she could get them, they were off in an instant, with the little hay they hadn't yet eaten. Caroline was sad, but now she had a different plan. Let them take the hay, because in the meadow there was something better anyway. She turned to go back, now using the moving to her advantage. She plucked all the flowers, moving with ease as the maze carried her from flower to flower. She made it out of the maze, over the mound and back to her place. She had plenty of flowers for the next few days, so now she could lay for more days than she could have if she had still had her hay. Okay, so here are some of the things that the editor told me. One, rhyming is very childlike, so don't do that. It's not the hot thing to do, which I don't like. I'm gonna revise it and make it rhyming. Two, I want there to be a montage in there showing all the instances that Caroline had with the trolls of taking her hay, so that you see why does she even know that it was the trolls. And I would also like to implement in, because she knows it's the trolls, because this happens, she's always trying to keep an eye out, and she just fails. Like maybe she falls asleep under the tree. Something else while I was reading that, though, some lesson behind the story. I think there are several, but some lesson behind the story I need to get a little bit better, which is that it's work smart, not hard type of a lesson that I am going for there. By watching the hay, just doggedly trying to go towards the thing may not always be the right path, and that you might need to go, the path may be obfuscated at first and you have to go in a different direction. So that needs to also be shaped a little bit better. Because one, it's a lesson, but two, it's also an instruction manual for playing the game, which I think is kind of fun. Anyway, I will be revising that, coming back to you guys, tell me what you think, or you can throw me some rhymes. I don't necessarily know if I'll take them or anything, but it'll still be fun to have that communication going. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'll see you next time. Bye.